there a Bible text that says Satan broke God's 10 commandments, which caused the war in heaven? And is there a Bible text that says we must obey God's 10 commandments when we get to heaven?
Very good. Thank you so much, Ed. I first point you to James chapter 2, verse 10. It helps us understand something very important. It says, "For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all." So in disobeying one, Lucifer, that eventually became Satan, would be disobeying or breaking all of God's 10 commandments. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14 and begin in verse 12 to get a picture of Lucifer falling. "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." So here we have Lucifer, the angel that fell, coveting the throne and actually wanting to push God aside and take over, in essence, wanting worship for himself. And the Bible says you should only worship God, our Creator. So here he coveted. So this is a breaking of God's commandment. And in breaking one, he broke them all. Let's move to Ezekiel chapter 28 and begin in verse 15. Ezekiel 28, verse 15. Notice what it says. "Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created till iniquity was found in thee." This verse is very interesting because God created Lucifer perfect.
Yes.
There was no defect whatsoever in Lucifer, but Lucifer had freedom of choice. Just as God gives to all of his creatures freedom of choice, he chose to sin, and that's when iniquity is found in him. "By the multitude of thy merchandise," verse 16, "they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned." So here we have clearly saying that he has sinned. "Therefore I will cast thee out as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire." Verse 17, "Your heart, thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee." So here we have again, his heart was lifted up. Here we have pride surfacing in him. And in John chapter 8, verse 44, Jesus makes these declarations. "Ye are," talking to the scribes and the Pharisees, "ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it." So all of these scriptures help us to understand that Lucifer sin broke the 10 commandments. You have a second question, and give me a moment here. It is there a Bible text that says we must obey God's 10 commandments when we go to heaven? So I began to answer your question with some questions to examine the logic. Will it be okay to kill in heaven? Well, the answer is obviously no. Will it be okay to murder in heaven? The answer is obviously no. Well, how about if you get some idols and worship those in heaven? You see, though, the logic tells you that yes, we will keep God's commandment. And notice Isaiah 66, 22 and 23. "For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord." You can continue reading, but it's talking about keeping God's fourth commandment, about keeping the Sabbath day holy. And so, yes, we will be keeping God's commandment.